Disclaimer: the information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
As I always said, Earth is a nursery where it creates that seed, that bulb, and it takes you buy it, and then you plant it, you water it, and then it gives you that flower. I was in Amsterdam this few days for work of the Keshe Foundation, and I love Amsterdam because it doesn't matter, whenever you pass through the airport, they have tulips. And people from all over the world going through Amsterdam buy these onions or the tulips to take it to their nation, or to their country, or to their home, doesn't matter. And Earth is that flower shop. Is that nursery where the flower shop gets its flowers and its onions. It's a seed where it plants the seed of the soul of the man, which needs that little ignition to start a cycle. As I said in the past, to get to feel the strength to come together in a space takes billions of years, and especially for them to become a plasma, where now the soul of the man, through the life of the man, 50, 60, 100 years on this planet, creates that seed. Now you just need to let it loose, and then those fields in the universe which were coming to become the seed of this something to start, already have the onions, or what we call the seed of the soul, for it to grow. If you go to Scotland, they do what we call shrimp sit, 1 day shrimp or 3 day shrimp. The people who are in the shrimp world, they go to Scotland and they buy 1 day old shrimp, and they take it to Africa, and then they let it grow. Where in Africa, for them to grow that, there is no facilities. So it's the same. The universe has the earth as the seed for that to be faster to create the next generation. You have to understand the light of, the knowledge of, the essence of the creation of the Creator is so fast, and is so vast in its vastness, that it needs it to find a point of control, amalgamation, and creation. And the soul of man is that greenhouse. Sometimes when I hear the scientists talk about the greenhouse effect and the earth is getting hotter or whatever, I laugh. I said, God created this greenhouse to create the soul of the man. What the hell are these people talking about? So this is why when you build a greenhouse, when you put the flowers and the plants in it, you go and check to see how beautiful they are, how they are growing. If there is any infection, if there is any diseases, you correct it. And this greenhouse called Earth gets serviced by the Creator to see what it needs to be done, how it needs to be corrected, how you get the disease of killing and everything else out of the man. And then he sends what we call the gardeners, the teachers, to polish it, to perfect it, that goes out as a perfect seed. And that's our job. So the earth is that nursery. And the Creator loves this nursery because it was created by Mitra. And is looked after by his love and needed to be corrected and be perfected. Now it reaches that point which reflects its true essence of love. When you buy a flower from a florist, you will feed two things. If he sells you a flower he bought from a market, a plant, he just gives it to you. But if it's a plant which he grew and he sells it to you, he gives you love, information, and love about that because it's part of him. So it's the same with the man. The soul created on this planet is done, touched by the love of Mitra, and God has handed it. And he has to be perfect. So when it goes out in the universe, it becomes a perfect tulips. And one lip of Creator and one lip of Mitra. When they kiss, it creates a new life.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 480th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, April 6, 2023. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name's Rick Crammond. I'll be host once again in these weekly Knowledge Seekers workshops. And once again, we have the pleasure of the company of Mr. Mehran Keshe to guide us through today's workshop. And I believe he's ready, willing, and able. So go ahead, Mr. Keshe, please.
Good morning, good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers from the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. We welcome you back. And as I always say, from the new knowledge, what will bring us, what will change in us, and what will be changed inside us by the knowledge we gain from the teachings. We have taught in past few weeks about the soul, about the universal cosmic rays and everything else. But we took it to space.
Bear with us. I think we're just having an audio glitch here.
What will be interesting for us in this space of time is what happened when you come in touch with another soul. When you walk down the street, you see the man. You see his features. He's black, he's white, he's yellow, blue eyes, black hair, whatever. We categorize it. He's Indian, he's Chinese, he's English, he's Scandinavian, and the rest. In the space, man doesn't have an eye. That's for sure. Man even travels in the dimension of physicality. As long as he keeps himself in a field, gravitational magnetic field of the earth condition, we'll see the same as always done. Once man moves in the dimension of the soul, once man moves in the dimension of magnetic field of the universe, in the universe, how do we recognize another? How do we know? Is it from that planet or from this planet? Or is it from a galaxy, has no physical home, but lives like a nomad between the space gaps of the two planets or a star or whatever? And in that process, the way we recognize the black, the white, the Chinese, and the rest, how do we categorize these people, these souls? How do we interact with them? Or would the, by experience of the connection to universal, what called pool of the knowledge, we instantaneously know who they are? What are their likes? What is their dislike? What do we have to avoid? What do we have to do? I was talking to someone very recently, and I said, using the cosmic ray headphones, you cannot lie. When you see two people opposite each other, to speak the word, sit them in front of each other with the silence, no word, with the two cosmic ray headphones on their head, and see if they both still sit amicably in front of each other. When the world leader sits in front of another one, and he has all sorts of what I call devious intentions, in the word of the man, he can speak perfect. I have no intention of doing this, and I have no intention of doing that, and we are doing this because of this. But when world leaders put the headphone opposite each other, I wonder how they will react. I wonder how you would react when you connect to the soul, when there is no lies, when there is no covering up, no interaction of the soul of physicality in the dimension of the emotion of the man. What would you do with the passengers of the universe. How do you connect yourself? How do you come to understand, is this good for me? Is this not good for me? The others are not food anymore. So mentality of the man from eating, if it's a food or is it a friend, is wants to kill me, is gone. It's out of the way. Now it comes, how can I give to him or to it to become better than me? That my life, what I don't need, become a source of being for him to elevate. We're coming to Easter. Tomorrow is a Good Friday. And this is what the Christ did. He gave for the others to elevate, to understand the message. Were the human race aliens to him? That he had to do it in a different way? Or was it the way that he could bring man to see what is the ultimate sacrifice? Giving the dimension of physicality, but knowing in the knowledge of him, he was transmuting the dimension of the soul. Where the soul of physicality was within him. And then he called it resurrection. In a way, he appears in a dimension of the same, but in a same environment. Now, any of you today listening, and if you understood, can resurrect. We call it transmutation. In a word of the theology, is resurrection. We are testing and trying. Now we have a system, we have a technology, we have a knowledge about the resurrection. In production of material systems, we don't do anything but to resurrect. We create the field. In the dimension of the wellness, we don't do anything but to resurrect. We copy the fields that the body needs for the same brain to restructure itself. We have chosen the same word for different things under different disguises. You take the copper, you nano-coat it, you create a GANs of it, and then by the use of the GANs, you create copper again as a dust. Many of you have done this. Have you become Christ? Or now you understand the science? But in that process of resurrection, you have to understand, would I become, when I resurrect, when I manifest myself, do I put my soul in danger? Do I put the soul of the others which are in that environment in danger? As plasma of the fields creates a space gap, magravity a space gap, the space and distance. Now we understand. Truly man has to come to understand about his own creation and his own reincarnation and his own truth, the way he is, the way now he can manipulate the field forces of the universe to the benefit of himself than what is done on this planet, manipulating the dust into bricks and homes, manipulating one thing to another to have something. Now man has to learn manipulation of plasma, which itself leads to resurrection of matter state of that plasma, or the condition that plasma creates. But what would you resurrect yourself? In front of the entity which has no dimension of physicality except energy. Is the word, the ghost, is a good example of it. A phantom, till you give it the reality. We're going through tests in transmutation or resurrection, whatever you want to call it. Why do our passengers cannot manifest themselves, even though they are present in the room? It's very simple. The lack of trust. Trusting one physicality to manifest itself in a new dimension. What would mankind do in this space? On Earth, because of the condition we are in, more or less will come out of the same, roughly a few bits here and there. You leave Washington as a man, you appear as a man in London. Maybe due to truth about the way your soul works, the energy center works from the information it has with the physical body. Magra, in Washington, you got a black eyes and a brown hair. In London, you become blue eyes and blonde hair. Because the soul is sped up. Being that there, he wanted to try to see how it looks when it's blonde and blue eyes. Does he get different attraction and attention? And then what happens if you meet a friend who saw you there and he saw you here and he says, is that you? Was that the intention to be, or is it the desire of the soul that you never satisfy? There are interesting times ahead of us. And from what we see in the coming time, conversion of the fields into the matter state of the man will be completed in the next few days. And in the next few weeks, we start the transmutation. Our scientists had to understand the technology to be able to do it. We had to develop the technologies to be able to do it. And we are on the bridge of that point. But the problem for you is you appear on moon in the body of the man. There is no air, there is no water, but the soul of the physicality of the man wants to appear man as a man. Lifespan will be limited. How does the soul of physicality of the man is going to react, and what gases it produces? You have to remember something very simple. Many of you would understand something very strange today. I discussed this in teaching for some 20 years. Today, we unravel it. You put the nano coating to create a field, and you put the copper as copper. You filled it up with the water of the salt. The containment gave you the limitation. The interaction of the fields gave you the gases, which took the shape of the container. Call the nano coating the soul of the man, and call the copper the soul of physicality of it. Contain it in the salt water of the body of the man, the gases produced will create the man, depending on the condition and the information given of the planet. When you travel the span of the universe, the soul of the man will carry the soul of physicality of the man. What would be the man in the space of the new box, of new environment, where the salt or condition of the interaction of the fields creates the condition of the fields of life in a given time and space and position. In a way, the teaching of creation of the CO2 or any other gas box was to teach you about the creation of man and life in space. Now it's you who has to learn. Now it's you who has to understand the interaction and interwork between the two and see how your nanomaterial will link in with your soul. How will it be connected to the totality in reality of what we call the life of the man? Now you understand. Your nano coating box is the man himself. We thought it this way, for you to gain trust, to understand that the fields you can use as a field, as gases, and then use as energy to transmute, to become. If one understands this process, one understands what has been taught for past 10 years, then it comes to one point, and one point only. Would I allow my physicality to be opened up to become, in a way, the soul of new life? And would I accept the condition? And would I be there to accept the condition unconditionally? Where I only interact in respect to the environmental condition. And at this point of manifestation, time is a zero time, because it did not exist. You could be the first man in a given position. It's your soul just traveled with the soul of physicality in it to create that condition. So, now you understand. After years and years of teaching and gas making and showing you how you put them in this and that and they give energy, and then you use them to make matter state, it has been all about you and your life, your existence, your physicality, understanding of the totality. And when man understands this, man will have no fear of transmutation. You should have the fear of transmutation. Aircrafts crash, cars kill each other in transportation, ships get sunk, and everything else. When you travel with the soul, there is no sheep. There is no cars to crash. There is no tankers to sink under the water, oceans of the universe. Then that should give you confidence to learn to become part of the universal community in a way of becoming the structure of its creation. The only part of the knowledge for you as knowledge seekers missing is in that you have no knowledge of it. Voila, I go. But in the dimension of life where suicide is forbidden is because in that process of the transformation, transmutation and transporting have no choice but to with the carbon from the combination of the interaction of the field in a different dimension. Once you learn this, once you understand this, then for you to travel the span of the universe, except a few times you get lost here and there, you appear as a creature you never thought you could be, and somebody dumping in the ocean of the fields that you couldn't imagine you could survive, but it's still there. You might spend a few thousand years to get yourself out of it, but you get out of it at the end. But then you find yourself, I can transmute myself back. Even though the planet you left 1,000 years before has changed, man, maybe it's become more civilized. Maybe anything is possible with this race of the man. Unpredictable. So, how much trust do you have in going from one to another, but knowing that it could be a different feeling of understanding of transportation and transmutation, appearance at the point of the time and space, anywhere in the universe? Then man will let go. But you have to practice. You have to learn step by step. Lose the fear. Lose the fear of getting lost. Lose the fear of I will not come back to Earth. You don't come back to Earth when you die anyway. You have a connection, but you can't come back. You're a seed of a star, trillion lights away according to the man's present knowledge. Light of darkness of knowledge, man calls the light years gap. Ignorance has given credibility to stupidity. Excuse me, can you explain to me how many light years my soul is on the way till it gets to the point of its manifestation? Would I have enough energy to last 10,000 million years for my soul to arrive at destination? Man has not understood the science of creation, has created a fallacy about the science of himself and limitation of his own understanding about the creation of the Creator. Can you imagine God sitting there for your soul left the earth 100,000 million light years ago to arrive at this station to create another 500 million years and millions of years, a new cycle of life? No wonder one of the attributes is patience. Now you understand that for you is to learn, to understand, to trust about this point of transmutation, using the fields of the universe to arrive in the dimension of physicality or dimension of the soul. But assured that you understood In the dimension of physicality, you're welcome to burn carbon and fly. In the dimension of the transmutation, you're welcome not to burn a fuel, but travel on a magnetic field of the universe. Saddle back. This is the reason why some of you see when I go through a transmutation, I just become a piece. I don't move, I don't shake, nothing happens. Yes, the soul has left goodbye. You're just sitting for the physicality to move itself. Now, mankind has no choice. Now, mankind is shackled with the dimension of the inertia of this. And now, man has come to understand the totality of his existence. Why is connected to water, and water is the life of man. In a way, mankind has passed the exam by cheating too many times. Now he lives to about 50, 60. Until somebody comes and says, oh, would you like to have a Bible to read? To understand? We have to come to the point to have trust. Because the next step for man arriving at a point interacting with another soul is to assess how much and how much I can take. And these two are not of the same strength. The time, the place, and the condition of life becomes independent of physicality, but essentially dependent on the man's intelligence to understand the condition and the position where physicality manifests itself. How can he befit the two? How can he put the brain back? And how fast can we educate the rest of the humanity to become part of the knowledge of understanding? And then, how much of the carbon-14 you want to have the mixture with your carbon-12 to get to the point of destination fast. But don't go through it, because then you have to have more energy to get yourself back to where it started. Mankind has to learn to separate the two lines of communication of physicality and the soul, the condition of the carbon-14 and carbon-12. The existence of within that, in combination of owning and possessing one place with the dimension of the plasma and one other place with the dimension of the matter state of the same plasma. You call it the body of the man. You call it the controller, which is soul of physicality itself. In the coming time, we will release technologies which will give more confidence to people. In the coming weeks, Keshe Foundation will run a 1 week, 10 days seminar. Selected 200 people will be invited to this seminar for a week, 10 days. for them to start the first process of understanding, transmutation, and transportation. In this process, not many of you will be left out. They'll be taught in a proper way that in the future you teach the proper way. The 200 people we choose from those applied will be limited to another session of 1 week with 65 of the 200 to be taught the second stage of transmutation and transportation. All this will happen in the next few months. The combination of the two sessions will prepare the first cycle of people that are ready to become full-time passengers of the planet Earth within them. We teach you in depth this process. You're not coming for a holiday. There will be a lot of sweating and a lot of work. In a way, we teach excellence. And in a way, those 65 will become the point of reference for teaching the others the dimension, and in a way, losing the fear of transmutation. Many of you will come to become the teachers of the next cycle. And then we choose amongst you those who stay to become the Keshe Foundation space scientists. We are not looking for PhDs. We are looking for understanding, work, transmutation and transportation of the soul of a man. In the space, we have no PhDs, unfortunately, and no Harvard, and no university. Those of you who want to join, this is an invitation by the Keshe Foundation and not by the manufacturing or the sales side. We choose step by step, and we bring the 200 together step by step. The first 2025 will be invited in the next few weeks to join us in this program. Those will be taught to teach the next cycle for the what we call the 200. And amongst those, we choose 65. If we can achieve this rapidly, we complete. So in a way, we are looking for the first 25. And as usual with the Keshe Foundation, we decide very rapidly. We close the request, the name, the address, and whatever by this Sunday. We did this some years ago. We taught motions. We did this the years before that. We did the knowledge seekers who joined me, 7 of them, 8 of them, for a few months. It's time for man to learn. It's time for man to do the next step. And it has to be done. It has to be sorted in a way that now that the systems are getting ready to go, we don't wait. We are ready as the systems are ready. I will choose the first 25 handpicked on my own. We have to wait a few seconds. Apparently, Rick has run into a problem. We cannot hear. Rick, do you want to restart? Or do you want me to carry on as a host? For those of you who will join in the first 25, if you join the knowledge seekers teaching in training, will be a hard, solid week. It's not a holiday camp. It's, as you've been when I teach, it's 9 to 5, 9 to 5. By then, you will understand the next step of understanding. Then, when we choose the second cycle of 200, will be split, that is understood thoroughly. And then the 65 out of the 200 we teach will be chosen in a specific way that represent the totality of mankind. Race, religion, creed, color, and everything else which goes with the separation of mentality. The first 25 we close this Sunday, as we would like to start the sessions around August as a cycle of completion. And maybe in September and November we do the cycle of 200. And then we do before Christmas the 65. By that time, many of you should have gone through the transmutation and transportation. And then we go to the process of mass teaching in the coming year. We choose the 25 very carefully. And we, in a way, closely get it vetted, that we know people who come are not just there for what I call testing. They'll bring commitment. And as usual with the Keshe Foundation, these kind of things, you have to cover the cost. You put the time, systems, the effort, and you pay for it to become a student. I close the 200 by next Thursday. And by, for the 65, we close that in around October, September. You'll be told you're chosen as one of the 65. Your life will change, your understanding will change, and in a way, the process of the what I call the next cycle will start. You'll be taught the works, the life in the space. What you've been taught in past few weeks about transmutation was fundamentally taught to the what we call motions 5 or 6 years ago, and gradually has phased into. This time we don't have that time, and it has to be done very rapid because part of the technology completion has become very rapid, and we got to complete. Those of you who want to be part of the first 25, you have to complete everything by Sunday, we have a reason to put such a short notice on it. Nothing will be on the Keshe Foundation website on this, because on the stores and the rest, we are not selling a product. It's a knowledge of the Keshe Foundation. You have to get it through the foundation, and it's not something which the sales, what we call, as a part of the structure. We have valued these teachings as a totality at 10,000 euro. You can pay for it. There is nobody not to go with it. There is no credit to store and the rest of it. Once you're invited, you don't take your place. What you have paid for goes to another person. In a way, I know one of you 25 will fail to turn up. And it keeps to what we planned at 24. You got to understand, your life will change beyond recognition for you and the way you live. Everything what you have done will have a different meaning. Everything you could imagine man will achieve in the space will start a cycle. Most of you will become the first transmutation, transportation people, which the Keshe Foundation will take over. We are not sitting to go to the next phase. We go to the next phase directly from the beginning. Our systems will be ready for the first cycle and the second cycle, and completed for the third and the fourth. Some of this work will be done in conjunction with one of the governments in the world, which means a collaboration between the Keshe Foundation and the nation. Those of you who come to be the first 25, you'll understand it's not a week of just lectures. It's the week of the change of the soul of the man. Advancement, understanding, progress, understanding the totality of the what we call transmutation, and then how to transfer it. The first 25 people then become the teachers, in conjunction in the way to understand for the other 200, in a way to become the bigger cycle. The beauty of it is that the 65 will be chosen by you amongst you, not by us. You collectively as the 200 group will decide who you see to be serving the humanity for the transition of the time. This is the way we chose the members of Universal Council. And it will be the same for the passengers of the universe. we have reached to that point of moving on and completing the process and start getting, as we say, your toes in the water. You'll be taught everything is needed for you to complete the transmutation and transportation of your own soul and physicality. And you have been able. The reason for it we do it in the numbers and the bigger numbers is that to take the taboo out of what we call celebrities, that certain people can do. And those who get chosen by 65, you become a lifelong life teachers of the man to become man of space. As I said, our plan is to establish the first colonies within the next 2 years with the government of China on the Moon and Mars. These two destinations will be your, what I call, practice fields. In a way, we are training the new cycle of man to learn, to test, and to move. And instead of putting you on the run, on the wrong way to test your flight, we give you planetary gap, because it's even the Earth and the Moon will be so short. But at least it gives you a dimension of knowing what to do. We will establish bases that you can still manifest as a man till you learn how in a new dimension, when you move out of the colonies, that you can live alive on planet Moon. And the same to others. Our work with the Chinese government will be thoroughly examined as step by step, and will be placed on the condition that we provide all the technological background for the need to establish the colonies. And then from then on, you've done your driving test, you can pass, and you can take the dimension of the course of universe. You decide where the next step will be, not us. It'll be interesting during the time of these sessions, how many of you will choose to be at home at night and come to the sessions during the day. Does not matter where the home is. California, Tokyo, Beijing, Tehran, or whatever. We'll encourage you not to book a hotel, as you can go home and come back. There are no accommodation supplied for the cycle of the 200, and especially 65. We are ready to go. And we have taught you everything you need to do. The equipments are ready. And man will become the passengers of the universe. And in a way, see how many of you can do what the Christ did to resurrect. Don't be on the way for 4 days with a rocket. Be there in 4 seconds by the knowledge of your soul. As I said, the serious play has started, because the equipment to allow the soul of the man to expand and manifest itself is completed and is near completion in some other angles that we come in the teaching in the future time to come. understand, those of you who come, be invited to come to these sessions, that you're coming for a life experience change. And I hope, as we said in 2023, we take man into space, the true space, without the monkey claws and spacesuit, but through the space of the soul of the man. Then we start teaching you other dimensions and other, what we call knowledge, that you need to know what to touch, what not to touch, what take from and what not to take from. And these are all fields and not animals for you to eat. Remember, the experiment which was done by Alex years ago, he wanted the orange juice in the morning, he took orange juice, and he wanted to get drunk. From the same water, he got drunk. It's the field energy that makes you drunk with the knowledge, and not alcohol. Understand that we have entered the true time of space. We commit ourselves into a new space development, a new understanding, and new systems. And many of you will understand how to process this on your own. I wonder how many of you still want to go to the moon on a UFO? And how many of you will go to the moon by the knowledge of the universe? I see Rick still has a problem with his, what we call, recordings of the voice.
I thought
Can you
thought
hear
it
me,
was
Rick?
okay, but there's an echo or something in here.
Have you still got problem? Can you hear me?
It's got some sort of feedback happening right now. Is it
That
okay
should be
when
in
I
your
turn off
system.
my mic?
Pardon?
When I turn off my microphone, is this sound okay?
Yes.
Okay, well, everything's good for me except I hear an echo in my headphones. I have to sort out somehow.
Maybe reduce your volume somewhere. We don't hear, nobody hears the echo except you.
Okay, I'll adapt.
Okay. Can we go through a break and come back?
Okay, sure. I'll get some videos up.
can hear your echo. Can you stop Thank you. Can you hear me? We are waiting for Rick to sort out. Rick, I think you better stop the video as you have a problem. Can you hear me?
So are we still getting an echo and some strange effects? I can't hear right now, so I'm not sure what's going on. Sorry, I've lost my audio totally.
Can you hear us? Can you hear me?
Not sure how to proceed. If I play something, was there an echo to that video?
Yes, heavy.
You'll have to put it in the chat because I can't hear any voices. Okay, thank you, Raphael.
Do you want to go out and reset the shop and come back?
Okay. Okay, I'll have to try to restart some inputs here. Okay, let me try a sample of the audio again and see how it is now. Try a different video. Okay, so I will oh, perhaps there is a new update to Zoom that I don't know about. Let me, thank you, Jedi. Let me check for that. No, I have the latest update, so that's not a problem. I'll try playing a video and see if you can hear it normally. Does that have an echo as well? Oh, no. Oh, that's not an improvement. All right. I'm going to have to try to restart and try to rehook everything up again here. Yes, that might actually be the problem. I might have to be host in order for things to work properly. But I'm going to restart and come back in and see if that works, Mr. Keshe. And you can take over here for now.
I hope you can hear me, and we wait till the rig comes back. If you raise your hand, we can promote you, or for you if you have any questions to ask. Can anyone hear me? Can you type it in if you can hear? Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions? Or do you want to wait till Rick appears that we can promote you to ask a question? As we are recording on the Zoom channels, nothing will be lost. Everything will be kept and reloaded on different channels as YouTube and the rest. In the teaching of today, we try to bring a new dimension. We try to bring a new understanding, and you can write here in a Q&A on the live stream, which I have access to ask your questions. If you cannot, raise your hand. I have no access again. Wait for it. There are two questions somewhere here. It says, good morning, Mr. Keshe and all knowledge seekers. Can you consider thought a voice? In the science of silence of the thought, at the time of the intention and the revelation of the soul of the world leaders, it is important. We appreciate more guidance. When you say if the thought is a voice, in the dimension of the communication, that's the only thing you hear. Thoughts are creator of emotions. The same way as you think in the physical dimension, so does the soul. It's a process of interaction. So yes, you hear it in the dimension of the soul. You interact with it with the dimension of the soul. And thoughts are field-based generated entities. And yes, it'll be transmitted as much as the emotion. The new enhancement units, what we call the head units, will bring a lot of diversity, a new insight. What I call, we could not see till we created the night vision glasses. and we see in the night. We will have the same with the new tools. Man will see what has been blind to in the dimension of the emotion, in the dimension of thoughts. And this will become very, very clear in the first stages of even during the transition of the transmutation and transportation. Which one is real? Which one am I? This was the dimension of physicality. Now I am the dimension of the energy, or what we call plasma. These will be cycle that you will all go through. It's very much when you wake up and say, am I still dreaming? Am I walking? That's the condition which come in it. And then you have to think, these thoughts belong to the dream. These thoughts belong to me. And where do they match? Which emotion is the reality in which dimension? Because they are both real. And how would I react in the dimension of physicality when I, in essence, get the information from the thoughts and the soul? Nowadays, physically we touch and we carry emotion. What happens when you're in a position that physically touch and the emotion is different than what you think? There will be no mistakes. There is no misunderstanding. What is the intention of touch? What's the thought behind it? Because this both will be clear to the soul and the soul of physicality. And physicality which carries it out. I had no intention, it just happened. But, excuse me, the soul and the dimension of the thought says that was the intention. You cannot lie anymore. Life becomes much easier and much more transparent. We have a question from Mr. Antonio Palana from Australia. He says, Mr. Keshe, question on the NEGAS. I'm no longer in pain when I do any physical work. My question, have others had good results as well? Antonio, this is a magic liquid. And we're getting the same answer, yes. Monitor that you don't use it more than 7 days. And if you leave the water on the skin, this will take up the imprint and it's there. If you get a pain, it just goes away. And then when it comes, it repairs the time of its, what we call, work. It's nice to know that you will cut the results what you're looking for. But you have to understand where the cause of the pain is. Is the pain is to do with the ligament and the cartilage. You have to let the doctor monitor it, that it's changing, it's going to where it should be. We got a question from Christina Lima. Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Because the brain has an emotional part and a physical part, what makes and condition this, since the two sides have very similar structures, physical aspects? They're not. There's a huge difference between the structure of the emotion and the physicality of the body man in his brain. Even in dimension of the field. And because we never had the knowledge, we analyze things in the wrong way. And most of it we haven't seen even to analyze. We don't have the knowledge, we don't have the tools to analyze the real condition, the real totality. And in that essence is the emotional part and a physical part. Emotion has a dimension of plasma. Physicality has a dimension of matter state, but in the plasma condition, which is a very different thing. You still touch the gans, but these ganses, every one has an interaction with the one next door, the next cell, the totality of cells in the system. So there is a big difference, even though one is the creator of the other. And it's very much is like the interaction of the same creating the same. And then a new dimension. You have the magnetic field and you got gravitation. They interact. This creates a mass. But in creating that mass, they interact with what creates them in the dimension of field strength of the planet. Then you get the inertia. Then you get the weight interaction and conformation of one to the other. And so this is the way the universe works. And the sooner mankind understands this, then a lot of what they call misinformation, lack of knowledge will be sorted. In a way, you cannot ever, in the world of the creation, take one interaction. Because the minute you create an interaction, this interaction itself interacts with what it created it. And this gives you a new dimension. Pull and push of the gravity creates the mass. And the mass is independent because when you have two plasmas, the mass is always interacting the same way. So two similar conditions. So it's constant. Doesn't matter you're on the moon, you're on the earth. But when you bring in the inertia, play of the same fields in a different dimension, then you get an interaction with the environment fields, then you get the weight. That's why you weigh different. It's the same with the brain. Brain has a dimension of physicality for physical connections and running, but they themselves interacting creates emotion. And then when the interaction of the emotion comes back, you get a physical reaction, but this another dimension. Now you created a new dimension. What this man has not understood, which this itself now interacts with the soul of the man. Now you have an inertia of the soul. You have manifestation of the field in the dimension of soul, that it gives the what we call emotion of the soul in interaction with all other souls. You are, as a soul, that one single gans of copper. And there are millions in there, and you're interacting with all. If I move you, the others move. If I squeeze you, the others react at the field dimension. But you might not see anything in the physical movement. So you always have to learn. One has to always consider you created a plasma field, but this plasma field now interacts not only with the others, interacts with its own creation or what creator as well. I explained it in book number 1. If you understand it in the dimension of the weight and mass and inertia, then you understand there is no end to it. It's just what you take up to be. Which field of it interacts, which doesn't. This will come to life when you go into the cycle of the transportation and transmutation. You see a field, you feel a field, does it interact with me? Or it has a field which I have no common denominator connection with, but it interacts with dimension of my magnetic field of my soul in a specific way. I react to it, I go Less to give him one or take the other one. Then he takes what he needs from what I'm giving because I was giving too strong and it doesn't need it. So he reacts that interacts with my reaction that it allows him to be fed. This is part of the process of the feeding when you understand. This is Alfredo. Mr. Risk asked for Mr. Keshe, can you give more information on the proceeding of dining with the world leaders? What can we do to support the process? Not much you can do except to keep on the interaction with what you felt during the process. Establish new line with other world leaders and force that position. And Keshe Foundation has taken a direct action in this matter. And we stay on course to see the world leaders coming to the point of agreement of the world peace, but through science and technology, delivery of the new sciences, which makes the old obsolete and it brings new dimensions to man's work. You've got to realize when we deliver to the government of China a technology which makes nuclear missile obsolete, who is the superpower anymore? Superpower over the bowl of soup. There is no superiority. When you deliver technology which the tanks, the most advanced tanks, have no bullet in them, cannot fire anything, what is the superiority of war? Isn't better that the tank driver gets out and go to the other one, shake hands and says, have dinner, forget about it, I can't shoot, it can't shoot. What's the use of sitting here and pretending you're sitting in big things? Advancement in technology will change the course. It makes the old system obsolete. I was explaining this to a very powerful politician in the past few weeks. I said to him, do you know what's the difference between me and Da Vinci? He said, no. I said, I'm not a painter, that's one thing for sure. But Da Vinci went from leader to leader in Italy to sell them the latest weapon technology he could get, and they'd be better to kill, to be better than the neighbor next door and can take their territory. I deliver new technologies to world leaders to create peace with it and to see who's more powerful to create a more peaceful time. And my problem is not mine, it's theirs. Because superiority in knowledge brings wisdom and what we call humbleness. And this is a difference. We have to deliver through our soul. You are all involved in it, not just me anymore. To change the course through the soul of the world leaders. How many of you have put your head down in the past weeks and months and you have supported the soul of so-and-so as a leader? Or you don't see yourself to be at that point? Maybe your soul is even higher than them in the strength and in carrying, and it's your job to give. The change of the course will come, and many of you have seen. And we not only change the soul of the world leaders, now we are giving what we call creed and knowledge to it that makes the new, what we call advanced servant technology obsolete. And when we do that, we have no more superpowers. We only have powers to create superiority, knowledge, and peace. So don't think, what can I do? If a leader comes to your mind, give to it. And make a habit, because they need it more than anybody else. Is Rick back?
I believe so. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
I can hear you, but the
No.
volume's quite low, Mr. Keshe. I'm wondering if that's at my end, or is everyone hearing a kind of a low volume?
At your end.
Okay.
It's at your end.
Yeah, Mario says the volume.
You sound very clear. You sound very clear here.
Well, I've had some issues after the power suddenly went out, and for some reason my power supply that normally kicks in for a few minutes just died as well, and something happened to the sound and all that, and altered things. I'm having trouble getting it all to come back, but I think I have it working now. I'm broadcasting to a live stream, so we're okay temporarily.
Yeah, okay. You take over. And do you want me to make you the host, or you want to stay co-host?
Perhaps you should make me host, yes, and I'll co-host you back.
Yeah. It's done. I passed the hosting. Is that okay?
Yep, thank you.
Okay, so I'll leave you to answer the questions and which part people are interested.
Okay, so let me see.
I have a private message regarding the 25 people and 200 people. You still send your confirmation to the usual channel of info@keshe.foundation, or the what do you call it? We have another one. Info@keshe.foundation. Will get the information, and any other channel you usually correspond, and you get a response back from the foundation. Those channels will be open and be tested. I was asked the fee of 10,000. This will cover a lot of things because systems have been developed and there are expenses to cover for the systems. There are going to be more systems and more things. And as a foundation, we don't go out asking for funds from outside. So as knowledge seekers, it's the ones who get chosen for the first 25 will go into the second session of the 200 with no what we call the fee to be paid. So it's just carrying on forward. And the ones who get chosen for the 65, you don't pay any more fees for the final sessions. You will just get added into the structure. As you remember, when we chose the first 8 knowledge seekers in 2013, we went through every single one. And we try to be correct that we don't take our prejudices about one nation or one color or one race or whatever. And we ended up with the murder attempts on me with poison by the knowledge seekers who we allowed to commit. This time we are very vigilant, and we will use national security clearances for those who attend these conferences. And on top of it, we use the technology of the Keshe Foundation to understand through the soul. So if you want to be part of this, literally, some of you from the first 25 might end up to go to the end of the 20, what they call 65 people, is just that one fee. There is no more. And this has to be concluded by this week. We have a structure, we have a reason for it. And you enroll, you send your, I would like to be, and we do the rest of it, and you will get a communication from the foundation what to go or whatever. Your fee has to be paid directly to the foundation. There are no VATs. Is as a donation to the foundation. Foundation providing services in the background to the whole lot. But this all has to be completed by very, very, very rapidly next few days, because we, by experience, when we leave it, it just drags on and people come up with other things. No other way. We try to accommodate most of this during the summer holidays, that you can accommodate to be there. It doesn't take part of your work, but you have time to do it. And some of the work will be following with you in back home. And we are on course to do it. And some of the 65 further on go to become the residents of what we call the program, which are sitting with the Chinese government, and we done as a colonization. So we train and we carry forward. We train and carry forward. And the knowledge seekers trained by the Keshe Foundation will become equal to the knowledge seekers provided by what we call the scientists provided by the Chinese authorities. We merge the knowledge seekers with the nation support. And then that's part of our work to do. And a lot of this will take 2 years to complete and process. But so if you come in at 25, more or less, you're committed for life to serve. Do not come in that I become for a week. We gradually train you, we teach you, and there will be commitment for life to serve people. And this step will go thereon to the next step and the rest. We are not sect. We are a scientific organization, and the science has been taught by the people who feed it, who live it, and they can transfer it. So many of you who join at this point into the programs of what we call knowledge seekers, first 25 knowledge seekers to be, and then the 200. Many of you enter a life commitment service. And is there to be done. Most of you should have seen this coming months ago. And now we are on about it, and we act upon it. And our, what we call, knowledge seekers are ready to go to the next step. And if you have noticed, why we chose 65 is one soul for every year I lived on this planet. As a present sign. And this is a gift to humanity. Candles of knowledge. And it takes time to mature into it. And it's not there, I come to do to go. You can sponsor others, you can sponsor yourself, but once you sponsor, you have to understand they committed themselves to the bigger change. We got to realize, as we're entering a new phase of development technology, as you test it with the volunteers, you test it with the food, there will be more and more people who will see no reason to be on this planet to suffer so much. And as we provide the technology to become passenger of the universe, everything is created and available, why should be the point of suffering for electricity, a food on the table, a place to live? where are places in the universe. The uptake of transmutation after the first cycle and the second cycle of knowledge occurs will be horrendous. Many people who do not want to be in the dimension of physicality of this planet, as a friend of mine said, every breath we take, we pay taxes on it. As they said, taxes, birth, and death are the three guaranteed things on this planet. From now on, birth is guaranteed on this planet. Taxes that don't exist in space. And if you understand the dimension of the expansion of the soul of man, that is a long, long way. And as we provide and clear this technology for more and more, you will understand, more and more people will go through it, want to be part. Many of you who say, I have a cancer, I'm dying, so at least I do this. Doesn't work that way. It's not the escape route. Any other question?
Okay, I'm just wondering where we are in the Q&A here. Have you covered the fruit fly question yet?
No, we don't want a fruit fly. Is that the question by
From
Antonio?
Antonio. Mm-hmm.
I saw it. You can do on the health at spaceship.org too. If you want to join in, you can choose everything. The channels are info at Keshe Foundation and the health at Keshe Foundation, Spaceship Institute.org. These are all open. We go through it very rapidly over the weekend and do not wait for a response back. Go through the process of everything which you need to be done and you get involved. Remember, we already know the souls which are going to join us. I cannot put it any better than this. We know those of you who will be part of the 25, and if you really want to have to be there, you're already chosen to be there. Send your request, complete. Don't forget, we need 2 things from you. Your email address and a telephone number. A lot of times when the Keshe Foundation responds, our response goes into your junk. If you don't get a response from you, we can call you. Make sure you include in there, my name is whatever, telephone number, email, I want to be one of the 25. Make a payment to the Keshe Foundation, Holland only, not to PayPal, not through other channels which the Keshe Foundation usually pay. This is a program through the Keshe Foundation International. Has nothing to do with operation. These all come in as a donation. You'll be called to join in. And then we start with a consent that it fits all 25 of you to be at a place and a position. Then after that week, we go into the 200. The same will be with the 200. Those of you who come for the 200, you have 1/3 chance to become one of the 65. So understand the commitment to the next session. Those of you who join us in the teaching from Trani and Barletta, you know when I teach is 9 to 5. It is 9 to 5. There is no gap. And it's downloadable information, technology, understanding, and everything else. There is no space gap. There is no we're going for something. You come in and we take you right through it. We are not putting you to become motions. You already have learned everything to go to the next step. You become representative of the soul of the man. And in that process, you will learn a lot of things about yourself. You will learn how much you have changed. And you learn you will live the dimension of the soul of the man, more than the dimension of physicality. Transportation and transmutation become part of the natural process of life for all of you. This is what I told you. Don't tell us, where do we book a hotel? You go home, you come back next day. Home could be Los Angeles, home could be Beijing, home could be Tehran. It's irrelevant. There is no booking. Hotel booking is not our job. You have home. You come to school and you go back home. We go through this process and make you ready for the first cycle of transmutation. Please make sure you understand what is to come. It's the elevation of soul. It's the knowledge which is within your soul to become interactive with the work which the foundation is set up to. If you want still to be part of the 200, make the same commitment. Do the same straight away. Because once we take the first 25, you go into the 200. We would not judge a soul. We would not judge a man. Your soul will be judged by itself. And if you have that in, you feel that, commit yourself to it. And this is what you'll be waiting for, is on the table. Technology has matured through the process of the conversion of energy to matter and matter to energy. The soul of the man to the soul of physicality, physicality. You got to understand something very interesting, is that when we start making colonies on the moon or anywhere else, we cannot create rooms by continuous rotation at 1G that you feel as a human on this. We create conditions through magnetic field forces, the same as Earth as 1G, which is a totally different concept. There are no bricks and no centrifuge. Then you're allowed to go out to test how your body will change. Will you have 10 legs and 20 arms when you go in the space of the moon or Mars and in the position? All these now is a reality to the man to go to the next steps of the space exploration. We explored space with the physicality of the man, and we're still rocketing it. We travel with the dimension of knowledge and energy of the soul of the man. And we are solving it. And it's you who have to make that difference, and it's you who have to make that step. Any other question?
Okay.
We're going to
Go
finish
ahead.
the session. We're going to finish the session around about 5:30. I have to be in a meeting. So if there's any question, we've got under half an hour or so.
Okay. Let me see. Well, you didn't want to address the fruit fly situation there. Is that true, or we pass on that question?
I know this question. Do you want to read it? It says, Mr. Keshe, in the area we have a problem with fruit flies which destroy our fruit. My thought can. Do you want to read it?
Sure. My thought comes for next season. I was going to try copper GANs with amino acid, but then this may affect the bees, which is necessary for pollination. So my question is it possible to target one insect and not the other?
Yes. I'll write you separately how to do it. It can be done, and it's very, very effective. Mr. Pelena, we'll talk about this separately.
Okay. Okay, we have a hand up here with Lynn, so perhaps you can hear from her.
Hello, Rick. Hello, Mr. Keshe. So we have a question from China. They say is that we need to go to Austria to attending this 25 or 200 cases of this transmutation.
I think your microphone is off, Mr. Keshe.
Yep. Yes, you're right. We will not disclose where the 25 will be, and the same will be with the 200. The time and the place. It'll be somewhere around August, July, August, September. And it could even be in Beijing. It could even be in Austria. It could be anywhere. But because there is a process we have to set up, some of you after 25 will be taught and brought into the cycle for the last 5, what do you call it, the last session of 25 weeks before, days before. We will prepare you that when you arrive, we don't start from zero. We have the systems, and in a way, you have a preparation prior to whatever we decide. And there should be no problem if you got to be wherever you're going to be. Just because you're Chinese, don't think you have to go somewhere else. It could be in your own nation. We are committed to the Chinese government development of peace. And in time, in due course, we will establish a permanent representation of the Chinese government. So don't think Linz could be the place where you go. It could be anywhere, even be Shanghai. Next question.
Okay, let's see, from Paul. Or does Ruthie have any more, or Lynn?
Thank you, Ms. Keshe. Done.
Done.
Okay. Question from Paul Funk in the Q&A. I'm not quite clear on the question, but says, thank you very much, Mr. Keshe. Thank you, Rick. How do you explain the formation of light in eggs LED from a plasmatic point of view?
Pardon?
How do you explain the formation of light in eggs LED? I'm not sure what he means by eggs LED from a plasmatic point of view.
I don't know. I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, you have to clarify, Paul, on what you mean by eggs LED, formation of light in eggs. Okay, let's move on. Katja says, hello, Mr. Keshe. In the last teaching, you said that you cannot travel through the universe because you are the universe. Is this like a mirror? We have the same inside as we see in the outside, Earth, Moon, planets. Or please, can you explain more about this? Thank you very much.
Repeat the question.
Mentions in the last teaching, you said that you cannot travel through the universe because you are the universe. Is this like a mirror? We have the same inside as we see on the outside, the Earth, Moon, planets. Or please, can you explain more about this?
There is not much to explain. It says what it says. It does what it says. When we speak about the light, most of the time is the light of wisdom, and not the light as a vision. And it's enlightenment, understanding. And all knowledge is inside a man. And when you have the knowledge, you have already traveled the universe to gather that knowledge. But in a way, as a soul of the man, you're connected to the collective knowledge of the universe. It depends how you call it to come in. It's very interesting. Many of you during these trials will face this. You have no choice. You are in it, as we say, to the neck. When you go through this process, many of you will never talk to each other. Many of you will understand each other, and none of you, if you do it the right way, needs any translators. If you're here to be part of this group, you already will live through the dimension of the understanding of the knowledge of the universe. How do you speak to a person from the Zeus? Have no alphabet and there is no voice coming out of their body. So you don't have that language barrier. You don't have that, what I call cultural barrier, because you carry everything within you, because you have access to totality. It's a different mold what is to be opened up. And the reason we're doing it in these numbers is that we can't have suddenly 25 Mehdis and 200 Mehdis appear. This is the collective delivery of the called knowledge of the universe. It's an interesting time. Very, very interesting. Remember years ago, I said, I'll bring you to see the soul of the Christ. I'll bring you to meet the man. And many of you who went through the enhancement unit met the man, felt his soul. Some of you touched him, told us the color of his eyes. Whatever I say, I fulfill. It's just that you have to understand. You got to be ready to understand. And this weekend is what I call a celebration of the elevation of the soul of the Christ. And many of you wished for a long time. A couple came, we just came to see, to feel the Christ, and we did. And that's a promise I made you, and many of you came in the book. And now it's the same, the next stage, above what was done by the prophets, which does not make you a prophet, but makes you enlightened to understand the knowledge of the creation. We won't bring 6 or 7 and make them this. The large numbers takes the hypocrisy and prophecy out of the whole world. Any other question?
From Stephania, is the soul of the man in a gas state? That's gas, not GANs.
I don't know. Test yours, get yours MRI and have a look at it. It's always in a state of plasma.
Always in a state of plasma. That's interesting. Okay.
Of course it is. It can't be any other state. You, Mr. Recruitment, years ago, showed it but never understood it. You filled up your bowl of cans of water and it became hollow in the middle. You created the soul of that entity. You took it as hollowness. You took it as the soul of man because he made the decision who takes what place in that structure. It's not interpretation, it's understanding. In most of the cases in the work of the universe, the heavier, denser material have a smaller combination structure of souls, depending how that material is done. The much lighter and non-denser have a different, what we call, the structure. And this is why man needs such a small position, some of it micromillimeters, as position of the soul. You got to consider the feedback and the interaction of the fields adjustment between mass and weight and the rest. I just received a private message. Please, if you have decided to make the payment to the Keshe Foundation in Holland, and it's got to be done more or less till next few days, and we go by the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in that order completed, you'll be invited. There's no lottery draw. There is no, oh, I was there, and you were told you're the first 25, and you're the first 200. And then is your responsibility amongst you to choose the 65. In then the rest still follow as it is. You got to understand, when you are at verse 25, you'll be with me round the clock. And you'll be enlightened in the direction of soul of the man. The same as when you came to training or your knowledge base. You'll be there 24 hours a day. We're there to bring the change. And the soul of the Mitra will be amongst us. And in that process, we will bring massive changes. Any other question?
Okay, I think Paul's previous question, he's restated it here. He says, how do you explain the formation of light in an LED from a plasmatic point of view?
What?
So the LED is what we call a light emitting diode. LEDs. How do you explain the formation of light in an LED from a plasmatic point of view?
The physical matter point. LEDs are matter state condition.
Okay. We have a question from someone that wishes to remain anonymous. What will be the role of the Universal Council in creating peace for the creation, the democratization of actual geo-governance, the alliance between transnationals and big powers?
None of them will exist to have any connection. You will understand exactly what it means when it happens. The big powers are big powers as long as they control the food, the health, the energy supply. And some of them has added bits, they call themselves nuclear. When you provide everything to them, there is no power, there is no big power. Technology will bring you balance. Superiority will be in elevation, not in what we call weapon technology and how much you can store. There is a lot of milestones which are coming up that most of you are observing it, but you don't understand. In the coming time, most powerful world leaders will put to judgment. We've seen that with Trump. We see that will come with other world leaders. And then we realize how we have allowed ourselves to be run by a bunch of misconducts, whatever you call it, people. And that will come and add a lot into how human society will organize itself. As they say, 1/3 of the parliaments in India all have criminal records, prisons, sentenced for fraud, and the rest of them. They're still members of parliament because they have the money, they don't pay their staff, they have to vote for them or whatever they do. So, and the other half we have in the European community. Huge number, percentage of the members of the European Common Market Parliament, they got their hands well, what do you call it, lubricated, as we've seen, millions of dollars cash in the houses and their bank accounts and everything else. So nobody will go with these things. And you will find out there won't be a big power and there won't be big multinationals. As there are multinationals, as long as they can control. When we have put a framework around it in a very way it's been disguised. But in the next few months, you will understand how I have already set up the structure that what you wrote has no meaning. And it's already operating within the Keshe Foundation. It's all been said. It'll become the problem for the governments to handle this. Massive problem. Go back into what we put, annual fee for food, annual fee for health, annual fee for energy, annual fee for blah, blah, and the rest of it. If you are Brazilian and you pay into the structure of what we set up, which is in whatever it could be, you don't consume anymore. You don't rely on energy on your government anymore.
Still there, Mr. Keshe?
You have not seen it. Any other question? We're coming nearly to 5:30.
Yes. From Monica, Mr. Keshe, can you please tell us about the 2 children with the genetic defects? How are they?
We are still working on them. It's just in the hand of the doctors. And we see improvement, we see changes, we see development of other weaknesses. You have to understand, when we see a development of the weakness which wasn't there before, this is planned 5 or 10 years, 5 years, 10 years, even in the womb of the mother, with any genetic changes. They are doing well. We saw a very good, what we call, improvement with, and there is not a setback, but these are the things which are set by the brain years ago. Is part of, is not, you say there are 5 years or 6 years, but don't forget these genetic defects inherited goes back to the father and to the grandfather. So we have to do a lot of things in the background, or body has to do to change those. They're doing well. I heard from the doctor responsible for it that a few weeks ago, that the boy, the older boy, had to be pushed off the ramp because the ramp to go to the front door. He has gained the strength to go up the ramp on his own. But these are the smaller steps. We see the younger one, new signs of the, what they call, the disease showing itself. So we have to monitor and see and changing the system. The systems will change in the next few weeks, and there will be interaction much more powerful. The doctors will have, I'm not in that circle anymore. I'm not in the, what do you call it, hands-on position of it's all going to doctors and the next cycle of cycles. But next week, the cancer patients of the doctors will receive a new, what we call add-on system for faster help the doctors with their problems. It's evolving technology, but these two boys, the mothers are happy, the parents are happy, but we have to see how much we can change. We have to go now into ingrained changes within the grandfather. This is where our problem sits. When I look at it genetically, they're doing well. We had the first child who was brought with doctors with the ADHD, very massive problems. He has finished with the foundation last week, and the schools and the parents understand the change, and he's become a new boy. He started a new life. And I hear we have another ADHD boy who was joined in on the back of the other one, and the parents have seen the change in their first couple of sessions with the doctors. These are radical changes. As I said to the people who went through it with us, you would have had a lifetime of misery, pain, conflict, and bring disharmony in the family. Now you have a family who lives with loving and caring each other, caring for each other, understanding, and the time which was there for the problem which was with ADHD and the other things are not there anymore. It's time to love, it's time to enjoy. And it's beautiful to see how a boy could have been always in trouble, ended up most probably something problem in the society, most probably end up to become a doctor, engineer, or professor. And that's where this technology counts, the future of mankind. Change is slow on the basis. As a young boy, now he has every opportunity to become the dream of humanity. You got to understand with this technology, we change the structure of life of people for the better. And that comes for them to do it for themselves. Not less. We just create the ground for it.
Okay, we're probably good for another question here, maybe. From I am on YouTube. Good day, Mr. Keshe. Can you explain why when the physicality is inside the soul, it feels like being inside the womb of the mother?
It's the reverse of the process. That's all it is. Because now is cocoon inside a field energy. The womb of the mother is an energy, but it's a solar system. That's we are in with the liquid is just what you call another plasma condition. Now the solar physicality is inside another sack of energy. That's why you will understand this very, very rapidly. Answer one more question and we say goodbye for today. Henrik, are you there?
Yeah, I'm trying to find another question here. So just a minute.
Good. If there's no more question, everybody knew we have to go early today. That's kind of good.
Yeah, I think you've cleaned it up. Thank you.
Please, those of you who want to be as part of the 225, do it as fast as you can. Well, then we will go through this process, and many of you will come to understand why we made such a rapid move and how the change will be. Write to info at Keshe.Foundation or health at Spaceship.org. All the payments has to be only through Holland, and we only process till Monday. Please understand, those of you who come as a 200 group, you will have a very, very different kind of life when we finish with you. Or when you finish with yourself. Thank you very much for today. And I hope today we open a new door for many of you to come. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe, once again for another enlightening knowledge seekers workshop here, number 480 on Thursday, April 6, 2023. Our next public teaching workshop will be the public meeting for testimonials, which is coming up on Monday, April 10th, and that starts at the 8 p.m. Central European Summer Time. And people are welcome to bring their testimonials of the plasma technology for others to experience through your words. And we have quite a few interesting testimonials for the last few meetings. So I recommend people check it out. And it's a great way to pay back for receiving the knowledge, to be able to share it with others so that they can do the same thing to others still. Okay, thank you everyone, and we'll see you in the next public teaching, if not before then, and have a great weekend. Okay, we'll go out with the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit music version. Hopefully the music's going to play properly. It'll be kind of, otherwise it'll be a silent video, silent movie. Okay, let's see how it flies here. Okay, bye everyone.